Hello and welcome to Fire in the Belly. Today we have myself, Mighty Pete, and we're joined by Grainne McNulty. Good afternoon, Grainne.
Hi Pete, how are you?
Wonderful, thank you. Doing mighty well, mighty well. Thank you for coming on. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks so much for asking me.
So tell me, Grainne, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so my name is Grainne. I'm 21 years old, and I'm from Northern Ireland. As you can tell by the name, as I can talk about, I've travelled, so there's always been a bit of an issue with my name and the pronunciation. But yeah, I'm 21 years old. I have got very into personal development for the past year, and this has taken me down an amazing journey, especially in the past 6 months, 3 months. Um, and yeah, I have a lot of passion I'm very committed to growing and to expanding and learning what more I can do in life. And I'm really fascinated by personal development. I think it's something that's so interesting because it's about yourself and about your life and what you can do with it. Um, and I know it's not about the end goal. It's not about the goal, it's about who you become in the process and setting new challenges and testing yourself and yeah, finding out more about myself really. And in that, I really want to do that for myself, but equally and probably more for other people. So whenever I've started my own personal journey and I've been sharing that on Instagram, and I've got a lot of messages about it because I'm only sharing what is working for me and helping me overcome things, learn different skills. And yeah, I've been sharing that with other people so that they can do the same.
Wow, that's powerful. I love that. So before we go into it, I mean, how many different ways do people pronounce your name? I'm sure it must
Oh,
be.
oh my gosh. I get Grainne all the time, Grainne.
Okay,
I've got Grainne, and uh, I think that's about it. Or just G. I say G for a lot. It's
right. I
easy.
was going to say, so yeah, because anyone that's listening in, so it is spelled Grainne.
Yeah.
So it's sort of slightly unusual, more sort of on the Irish side, I suppose. But yeah, no, it's great having the sort of a name that people you can just see them trying to work it out.
Yeah, the struggle.
No, absolutely. Listen, I love hearing that, and I'm looking forward to really hearing more about your personal development and your sharing journey. So tell me what does fire in the belly mean to you?
Um, for me, it means passion. It means what excites me most. And so I feel like that's going to be personal development and potential, and really to develop as much of ourselves as we can so that we can impact other people. Um, it's about helping other people, it's really just about life and what we can make of it. And there's so many ways that it's all about your attitude and your mindset, for sure.
And tell me this, just out of curiosity. I mean, what's your why here? It's why makes you want to do this and not do something else?
Yeah. It's funny you said that because in the past couple of weeks, I've been thinking about what I want to do after university. And I keep coming back to personal development, something in this sector, even though I've got a law degree or in the process. And the reason why is because I've seen the impact on myself from where I was even 6 months ago to where I am today. It's like two different people. Um, I take from my past the things I've struggled with, confidence, self-esteem, like most people in life, um, and put the tools into working on that and improving it. Now, I'm not perfect in any means, shape, or form, but I want to be able to help myself so that I can help others who are going through something similar.
Wow, that's really strong. And it's great to hear that, and I appreciate your honesty there saying about confidence and, really
Mm,
the self-esteem side, because it is unfortunately quite common,
yeah.
so I appreciate you sharing that, and maybe we'll get into it more later. So take us right back, Grania. Where are you from originally, and, who are you and what do you do as such? What's your background?
Yeah. So I was born in County Armagh, in a small town, Tandragee, and then so I was only about 3 when I moved to Omagh, County Tyrone, where I've been ever since I left for uni. And I'm trying to think. So I went through school in a really small primary school. There was maybe 7 people in my class. We were really individuals there. And then I went into a bigger secondary school for A levels and GCSEs. Um, and there was a lot more people there, a lot more rules, of course, because there are more people. Um, and then from that, I went and I moved to England to go to university in Brighton. And it's a beautiful place. I love Brighton. And I was thinking about it last night, the difference in what each of those steps meant from being so individual in a primary school of very little people to moving and being part of a crowd and being conforming to having, 30 people in your class. You can't really be seen as an individual anymore, or there's less time. And then transitioning across the water, which was very scary at the beginning, really scary. And I'd love to talk about that later.
Absolutely. What about siblings, brothers, sisters? Are you?
Yeah, I've got one sister and one brother. I am the youngest. I'm the baby of the family. And yeah, they're great. We're really close, especially me and my sister. And I'm very close with my mum as well. She's been such an inspiration. And the whole reason I started this whole journey of personal development, she started her own business. And really, she started to get into mindset work and how that would impact her business and the growth and starting it up. Um, and so she shared with me everything that she was learning. And I thought it was so fascinating in the space of less than a year where I've been and where I've come to. Yeah.
Mm. That's amazing. And is it something fairly new for your mother, or is it that something evolved as well?
Yeah, no, my mum was working for the NHS. She was a nurse. And I think she was a nurse for maybe 30 years. And she still is, but she is moving towards her business. And she started it last year when she went to qualify as a consultant for KonMari. And if you're not sure what that is, that's Marie Kondo, the Japanese tidying expert, the guru. And she's absolutely loving it. So I've loved seeing the growth in her. And it's really taken an impact on me as well.
I think it's fascinating because my wife is a big KonMari fan, and
Really?
everything in our house is folded or put away. So it's,
Yeah.
listen, there's no complaints here, and having 3 kids and still trying to keep stuff folded is like a never-ending battle. But fabulous principle, So yeah, no, it's amazing to see that your mother's taken that on and really.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that you adhere to as well?
Yes, definitely. She makes a joke about it though, because you're not supposed to strongly persuade somebody to KonMari their stuff. I didn't say force. um, but she really wanted me to KonMari my clothes and my room. And she made me do it when I wasn't ready. And I really hated it, hated the process. I was stressed out. It wasn't joyful, didn't spark joy. And then later on, actually, maybe a couple months later, I said to her, Mum, can you just help me KonMari my room properly this time? And we loved the process. I just fell in love with it. Because on your outer physical world, it always reflects what's happening on the inside. So a lot of us are stressed and busy all the time. And the outside is equally as cluttered, and there's no space to have joy, calmness, spark joy, any of those concepts. So yeah, I have our house is really peaceful.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. It's especially for you to get to that stage as well. And I like the fact you have to accept it at the right time.
Mhm.
It's so true in so many things in life, really, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like when you're ready to take the first step is when anybody will start to make action, but you can't force somebody before they're ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So take us back then. I mean, what would we have met, say, 7-year-old Grainne? Who would we have met?
As a 7-year-old, I was really bubbly. I was running about, I was adventurous, and I still carry a lot of those qualities with me today and throughout life. I love a challenge. I'm very setting new goals and trying to put myself outside of my comfort zone a lot of the time. Um, But as a 7-year-old, I was a very happy child, very happy home, and yeah, as I said, a small primary school, so we were all very individual people, which was lovely. Yeah.
Was school something that was good for you, or how did you get on with school?
Yeah, I loved school. I loved my friends at school as well. I loved reading books a lot, and that's something I haven't been doing over the years, but in the past couple of months, I've picked up reading again, and they are personal development books. So, but yeah, and I made best friends even from primary school, and one in particular, I met her when we were 4, so we've been best friends a long time. So yeah, a very happy child. Yeah.
That's great. You know, it's always interesting to see whether people are, how school was for them, because it seems to always be a mixed bag.
Mm.
Just out of curiosity, what's your youngest or earliest memory?
It's a good question. Um, I feel like my youngest memory was at school,
Hmm.
and I probably was about 4 or 5, and it was actually with my best friend I just mentioned. We had spent the summer apart from each other because we weren't at school, and I just remember on the first day of September, running back up to each other and hugging each other because we hadn't seen each other for like 3 months. So yeah, that's
Oh,
probably about
sweet.
5 years old.
Very sweet.
Yeah.
So tell me, you're saying you love a challenge now. Is that code for competitive, or is it just that you love a
Mm,
challenge?
I see. I struggle with that. I am competitive, but not towards other people, towards myself. Like I just love setting a new mountain to climb. For example, I am not an outdoorsy person. I really don't like. I love going for walks, but I don't like a lot of the insects, a lot of things like that. But I decided to join Scouts whenever I was maybe 13. And so that involved camping and going hiking in the mountains. And oh my gosh, great challenge for myself because I was outside in wilderness and everything. And I did struggle. I did struggle. There was one time my mum likes to laugh about it. I was preparing to go for my first hike, and my mum had said, bring lots of warm stuff, warm clothes, warm everything, lots of layers. And I had just watched a movie and I had seen these Americans hiking and they were all in little shorts and wee sweaters and everything. So I decided that's what I was going to go for. And I had new white trainers on. I was in shorts, like forgetting that it's Northern Ireland. And as soon as you step out the door, it goes Baltic and it's raining. So yeah, I went there for the hike, and everybody had to donate a pair of clothing to me. So I got a hat, a new wind cheater, a new bag, a new gaiters, like everything. Um, so yeah, it's things like that. I learned my lesson afterwards, not to go with the movies. My mum
Well,
is right.
I love that. For anyone listening outside of Northern Ireland, Baltic
Mm,
is means very cold.
yeah.
So it's it's such a great Northern Ireland term. That's great. So you were what, about 13 when you were saying when you did that?
I think 13. And then through Scouts, we started doing the Duke of Edinburgh Awards. And we went through bronze, silver, gold, which was brilliant. Lots of wilderness and lots of spiders, which really tested me. But whenever I set my eye on something and I want to say I want to finish it, um, yeah, I'm not sure what's driven that, or where I've got that kind of skill from, but I like finishing something I start or set my mind to.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, it is a great talent to have. So what were your strengths in school then? I mean, what were your sort of core subjects?
Oh, core subjects. I I'm thinking of what I don't like. I don't like maths. Find it really challenging. And it's funny because I feel like I was very good at it throughout primary school. And as soon as I got a belief that I wasn't good at it, it started to show. So as soon as something in my mind said, oh, you failed one test, it then started to go downwards from there. Um, but yeah, my core subjects, I kind of liked every subject. I was very open to a lot of subjects. I loved French. I actually study French and I still do. My degree is law and French. And over the period of coronavirus, I had to come home from a year of living in France, in Strasbourg, and write my dissertation, which is in French, about the European Union law. So yeah, I don't know why. I think languages is definitely a passion. Yeah.
I'm interestingly, just in some of the words you're saying, you come across as quite auditory, and you a lot of sounds and listening.
Do I?
I don't know whether you've ever noticed that.
No.
I mean, I'm not surprised when you said, in terms of language and things, because it's quite often it's listening. So
Okay.
it's just interesting. So yeah. So then, when you were that age, what did you want to be when you sort of grew up as such?
I didn't have. I've always been interested in psychology. Was one of my other subjects. So I had psychology and French. And then I didn't know what I wanted to be. So I kind of just kept open to the idea, maybe psychology. But everybody had told me, or my parents had all told me, and relatives, get a job, go to uni, get a real job with a pension. And, so that's what I'd been growing up hearing. So I was thinking, okay, maybe I'll just go for psychologist, something like that. And then whenever I was 16, I went to London and I got a scholarship to an internship to one of the Magic Circle law firms, Linklaters. And it was brilliant. So that gave me a first glimpse into law. And I loved it. I got to meet lots of top barristers and lawyers and partners. So it was a really great experience. And that's how I went on to pick law for my degree. But then, and it's only in the past year, I've been questioning whether I want to go on and pursue law, because after university, it's a lot of commitment. There's more courses, there's years and years before you get in. And I just feel like life is too short if you don't absolutely love what you're doing. It's too short to be thinking of having a secure job that pays. And if you're working 40 hours in a week that you don't love, it's not worth it, in my opinion. So I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. I still haven't grown up. So yeah.
That's fascinating. I mean, what did you see in the likes of Linklaters? What attributes did you see that sort of encouraged you to go that way?
It was a really high profile law firm. So I really liked, maybe it was the prestige. Everybody was just in business suits. They looked important. And the work that they were doing was important. It was. I'm not downplaying that at all. But it wasn't what was the fire in my belly. Like, the fire in my belly is the mindset. It isn't law. And as I said, life is too short if you're not so excited about what you do every day to wake up and have a compelling future. Yeah.
I know I'm married to a barrister, so I can understand some of the attitudes there, and some of the things. So it's a very, I couldn't do it personally, but thankfully we're all different. My wife is incredibly very good at it, but there we go. So that's interesting. So you obviously, you were always putting yourself out there, even, sort of fairly young age, your scholarships and, later on then your traveling and stuff. Is that something you took on yourself, or has that come from your background?
I feel like it's come from my background, because whenever I started getting the idea that I wanted to do law, I kept hearing that you need family relations or contacts in the legal background. And I had nobody like that. My parents didn't go to university. We were the first ones. So then I started panicking. Wow, I need lots of legal experience from the age of 16. And every single year I would do something with law and volunteer and do internships. And I think that was me trying to get a level playing field with those who had already had the contacts and trying to get up to the same mark as them. So I suppose you could say that was determination, kind of to succeed, to, not let my background with no contacts, nobody in those professional fields to define me like that. So yeah, it's probably been one of the reasons.
Mm. Oh, fascinating. It's amazing how people get to that stage, very
Mhm.
interesting. So tell me, as a teenager, who would we have met?
As a teenager, so I talked about how from primary school I was very liberal, very individual, expressing. So I feel like that kind of changed whenever I went into secondary school. Um, I mean, it was a good secondary school, but I feel like the problem is there's too many people and we are taught to conform. The rules don't work if everybody isn't conforming to the rules. So I feel like you kind of lose yourself in that a little bit. Um, Also, my friendship group, I had to really try to fit in because I'd gone from so little people to so many. Um, and I made the most amazing friends in that school. But I feel like everybody has these big friendship groups, and that is the identity of the friendship group and not the identity of the person. So I did enjoy secondary school, but you're not taught about a lot of things that I feel like we need to be teaching in school. You're taught what to think. So you're taught about the core subjects, but you're not taught about how to think. You're not taught about mindset, about developing yourself as a person, being an individual, expressing yourself. Um, and yeah, so I feel like it was an enjoyable time. But then whenever I moved out of that um, group identity and I moved away to England, to Brighton, to university, I then had to remember, oh, I'm actually an individual. I need to define myself again, which was really, really tough as soon as I moved away. I remember the first week, I loved the first couple of days. There was freshers, you would be going out and meeting everybody. But then about a week later into it, I really, really struggled and I was feeling so horrible. I didn't know what was wrong and I couldn't pinpoint why I felt so horrible. So I was going to drop out of university the first weekend, and I'd never done anything like that before. I'd never given up at anything. So my mum, she was brilliant. She had literally left 2 days before that, and she got back on the plane over to England, and she goes, "Grainne, you can't drop out. You're fine. You're fine." Um, and she was like, I felt completely better when she came over. Said everything's fine. You just need to settle in. You just need to meet new people and rediscover yourself over here. So as soon as she left, I loved it. I didn't know what happened to me. Um, but it was really hard because I kept seeing all of my friends back home still together in the big friendship group, but without me in it because everybody went to Belfast. Um, so yeah, I feel like that was tough, but I'm really glad I got to overcome that. And it's led to me having another drive and another, not having to stand out, but having to be who I am no matter what's around me. Yeah.
Out of interest, why Brighton?
It's a good question. I was looking up the best places for law, and I knew I wanted to be beside the beach. It is the most beautiful beach in Brighton. I wanted somewhere very diverse because, in Northern Ireland, we don't have a lot of diversity here. Um, so I wanted to meet new people, be among different cultures, backgrounds, people, like be really engaged in the world, really, move away. Um, and yeah, Brighton, it's such a beautiful spot. And I'd never even visited it, but I just moved over and loved it. Yeah.
So you relish being in small groups, your primary school, all the rest, and then now you want to go to a different country. Brighton is incredibly diverse, very busy place, different cultures, all the rest. So that's quite a swing from
Yeah.
sort of one aspect to the other. So I'm not surprised it was a bit of a shock for you on
Yeah.
arrival.
Yeah, definitely. But I feel like that's everything that I've come across that I found tough at one stage has really helped me and
Mm.
built me and built different skills. So I'm glad it had to happen. Wasn't great at the time, those couple of days, but I'm glad it happened.
Mm. How generally are you in yourself as such? Do you like your own company? Are you good for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm good both ways. I love my friendship groups. I don't have an abundance of friends, but the ones I do are such quality. They're such lovely people. But equally, I could spend time by myself, especially in the past few months of working on myself. And yeah, just really digging in deep and getting to know who I am on an even deeper level. So yeah, I love having alone time, and just being alone is great. Yeah.
So going through school then, so I mean, you had obviously you decided. I mean, at what point did you decide about law, and or was it sort of get your subjects first and then decide? What way did it happen for you?
Yeah, after the internship, whenever I was 16, that was really just it. My family saw that I got a scholarship to go to London in a magic circle law firm of all of those. They were like, oh my gosh, Grainne, you've got this, keep going. So I was like, okay, so maybe I'll do law. So then they were all just so excited. You know, we're going to have a lawyer in the family. So yeah, the past couple of weeks, whenever I've realized I'm not going to do law, I've had to have a couple of conversations, you know, my relatives who really think that I should be doing law. But it's for me to decide. It's my life. And I feel like that's the way it should be for everybody. You know, we do get a lot of pressure from society, from parents, into go straight into a good paying job. You know, you'll be safe, you'll be secure. But I'm not looking for security, but I'm looking for opportunity. And I don't want, you know, I want growth and excitement in where I work, because we invest a lot of time into where we work, and I want to be excited about the work that I do, and I want to serve other people through that work. So I know you can do that with law, but it's not my passion, I don't think.
I mean, that's very insightful because, you know, one, to recognize that it's actually, you know, that actually, and you do subconsciously, you know, you sort of almost fulfill other people's dreams, as you say. It's a, you know, it's a high esteemed sector, you know, of, you know, industry. And as you say, it is potentially a very good background,
Mm.
but actually that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you want. And there's very few people actually, maybe never or later on in life, that actually realize that they're not doing it for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So it's, you know, at the time, because even the language you use there was quite interesting, you know, that everyone sort of said you'd be great at it and you should do this and all the rest. And I mean, how, looking back at it now, what would you do? Would you do anything different?
No, I honestly don't think so. I feel like everything that's happened has happened for a reason and has been a stepping stone to get me to where I am today. And I feel like even the steps I take tomorrow, it's another direction, you know, another step in the right direction. Um, and I'm very young. I can, you know, take loads of years to just explore, and I don't know exactly what I want to do. But I do know that everything that's happened has led me to where I am right now.
Hmm. It's going to sound like a bizarre question, but do you think you've been here before?
Hmm, it's a really good question. um,
Have you ever
I
tried doing any soul work or anything like that? You know, has your soul been here before?
my inclination is to say yes. I believe in energy. So I'm learning a lot about energy at the moment. And it just makes sense that we haven't just popped up out of nowhere. And I believe that you make what your life is. So, you know, you decide, I believe that you create whatever you want in life. And I feel like I know this isn't directly answering, but whatever you want for your life, you have to be the decider of that's what I want. And I'm not going to see, because we look from the outside in and not from the inside out. So it's what Bob Proctor teaches. So it's whenever you decide that, you know, you're not going to take on what society has said, your family has said, other people's opinions, and you just want to see what do you actually want for your life. So I believe in energy and vibration and attraction. And yeah, I believe that I have, but I'm not too sure.
It's interesting. Some people, it just depends. Some people are aware and some people aren't, you know, and I just find it's a very curious thing.
Mm.
Just for those that haven't, talked to us about mindset. I mean, you've mentioned mindset quite a few times there, and what does that mean to you? Because not everyone has gone on this journey. So how would you describe mindset?
Yeah. Mindset, I feel like, is, as I said, you're not looking for anything outside of you. And I think a good indicator is whatever you feel like you're reaching for outside, such as validation from others, acceptance from your family, appreciation from like a partner. I feel like you then have to see what you're looking for and then give it to yourself. So for me, mindset is about encompassing what our potential is. It is about setting goals and progress in life, because I can't remember who says it, but somebody says, if you're not growing, you're dying. Nothing is neutral. So I feel like I am like that. I like to keep progressing, even if it's small steps, doing something that scares you. I think that mindset is how you think about yourself. So your self-esteem. I'm reading a really amazing book called Psycho-Cybernetics on self-image. It's really great. And yeah, it's all about how you, yes, it's really good. And it's about how you see yourself. And they say that our subconscious mind has a creative success mechanism. And that machine, I think it's so fascinating. I won't go into all the details, but it's about the mindset that your brain will start to find the answers to the not the problem, but the puzzle that you give it, which is where you want to go in your life. And even if you don't know how to get there, your brain also has a thing called a reticular activating system. So it starts looking for things that you give to it, and you find more of what you put in your brain. So if you're not feeding your brain and you're just feeling miserable or like negative, you're not feeling good enough in yourself, that is what's going to keep growing in your life. However, if you feed your brain positive material and inspirational material like business, finance, anything you want to learn about, you give it to your brain and you go, I don't know how to get there, but I know what I want. And your brain subconsciously will start scanning. It's like a scanner, and it starts picking up on ways to piece together the puzzle. So I feel like mindset encompasses so many things, and I'm learning about it more and more every single day.
That's fascinating. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great approach. And you're saying, I mean, schools don't really teach this in any way or shape or form. Where does it come from? Is it your background, or what has sort of triggered this for you? And because you said you always sort of thought this way.
Yeah, I feel like I've been really interested in psychology a lot of the time. It might have been from my mum, because she's very quick to pick up on other people, or quick to pick up on how people feel about themselves or about other people. So I did study psychology in school. And then, as I said, my mum started her business over a year ago, but then she realized that the mindset part of it was just as, if not nearly important. I'd say for a business, it would be 80% mindset and 20% strategy. So she saw, okay, I have to dive in deep and learn about mindset. So I had taken a couple of weeks off last summer before I moved to France. And my mum said, okay, Grainne, just learn whatever I'm learning, because it's going to strengthen who you are as a person. You're going to learn about yourself, and you'll probably find it interesting. So I took a couple of weeks. And the difference, like straight away, I was just like hooked on it. It was Bob Proctor's program. So that was really interesting. And then I started listening to Tony Robbins' podcast. And I love Tony Robbins. He says it like it is, no messing about. And yeah, he's a great person. So I started listening to that and just like pushing myself to learn more every single day. And then, as I said, whenever I had moved to England, I found it really hard at the start. And I, was suffering for like a couple of days, wanted to drop out of uni so dramatically. But then whenever I moved to France at the start of last year, September, I absolutely loved it. I absolutely thrived. I was so excited to be there, to meet new people. And that's like a whole other ballgame, because very few people spoke English. I was speaking French a lot of the time. My lectures were in French, which normally if I hadn't done the preparation or the work on myself before, I would have freaked out. I would have been like, I can't do this. I don't speak French. But I was like, okay, maybe I don't know that much French, but I'm going to learn. If you don't if you don't put a block in front of you saying, I don't know it, okay, maybe it'll just go in. Maybe I'll understand it. So then that's what started to happen. I was like, okay, I'm open to learning it. I didn't put up blocks or labels. I feel like labels and stories are really detrimental to us. As you know, reading psychocybernetics, if you say you can't do something, then the odds are likely you can't do that thing because you've put a block in front of yourself. It's not that you can't do it, but you've now labeled yourself. So yeah, working on myself before going to France was amazing. And I really enjoyed it over the past couple of months. But what made such a difference was in December when I went home for Christmas. I then went into my own mentoring program, one-to-one, and it's a year-long program. And I have to give a shout out to my mentor. She's the Queen of Confidence, Erica Kramer. She's absolutely amazing. So I started her program in December. I'm now 6 months through her program, and the difference is amazing. So yeah, I think, and the more things that I learn, the more things open up for me in the future. And the more things I see that are possible, and that we don't have to put labels on ourselves, on other people. We don't have to judge ourselves, judge other people. And it just keeps getting better. Like, I know I sound a bit cringy, but if you try it, it's like reading about swimming or actually just swimming. Like, you have to try it to understand what it's like. So yeah.
It's not cringy at all. I mean, it's listen, it's your experience and your journey, and that's, I find it very refreshing at how aware and open you are. And that's quite something. Take us back. I mean, the couple of things you said at the start there. Confidence being the first one. How would your journey with confidence?
Yeah, I feel like I was a very confident child. As every child is until like the age of, I don't know, 10. They love themselves. They're not afraid to tell anybody about it. They're strutting about. They're doing whatever they want to do. And then you reach about 10, and then people start saying, you can't love yourself. Why would you say that? They start saying these things to a child like, get in line, conform, you can't be an individual. So I feel like a lot of the like societal beliefs, and it wasn't even my parents, it was just society, like peers, like trying to conform, not being able to express yourself, things like that. So then throughout secondary school, I really struggled with confidence. And as I said, finding myself among loads of people, which I wasn't used to. And I remember I was laughing with my mum last night about this. So I had really lost my confidence. Maybe I was about 11 or 12, and really just like trying to conform, fit in, things like that. And she had asked me, we were going somewhere in the car, and there was a traffic jam. She goes, Grainne, you're gonna have to get out and walk to your friend to meet her in town. And it wasn't even that far. It was the tiniest walk ever, maybe half a minute, okay? And I could not get out of that car and walk to her. I had lost all confidence, couldn't walk. I was so anxious. And I remember my mum was like, you're just gonna have to walk. We can't drive, you have to walk. And I thought she was the meanest person in the world at the time. I was 11, couldn't believe she was doing it to me. And then I just compare that to the past couple of years. I've been traveling alone to like Singapore and Malaysia and China, and it's been the most amazing experiences. And it just shows you what not a little bit, but what confidence and self-esteem in yourself really does. And it opens up a lot more possibilities and belief in yourself as well.
It's amazing how confidence has come on. What's been the biggest turning points for you, or what really stands out, for confidence? Because I'm just thinking that other people are maybe experiencing this, and I'm just curious about your journey and how that could help others.
Yeah. I feel like especially the past year and listening to the Queen of Confidence, that's how I found her. I just started following her on Instagram. She's amazing. And it's not that she gives you permission, you give yourself permission to be whoever you want to be. You don't care about anybody else's opinion. It really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks of you. It's what you think of yourself is everything. And yeah, you just give yourself permission to do and be whatever you want to be. And yeah, to just start expressing yourself. I recently, I think it was whenever I came home from France, I started my own Instagram page and I started expressing what I was going through. And up until this point, I didn't have the confidence to say, guys, I'm in a coaching program, I'm loving it. So that was a big step for me to start sharing about that journey. But as soon as I hit the send on the first post, I was so nervous, I was shaking, I was so, couldn't do it. And my mum was like, just post it, it's fine, it's a post. So then I started gaining confidence in sharing what I've been doing and the tools that I've been using to really build myself up and build up my self-esteem, self-image, self-confidence. And yeah, the impact that has had on me is amazing.
And just out of curiosity, I mean, have you experienced any negative feedback from others, or?
Actually, no. I've experienced a lot of good feedback. And to be honest, I know there's negative feedback out there. It's just not been given to me, which is fine, because I mean, everybody is right in their own way. Everybody has a perspective. And I can get this isn't everybody's thing. It isn't. But I feel like there is a real need for more confidence, more self-esteem, which is why I'm sharing it. So even if there is negative feedback, it's worth it for the people that I am helping.
I think, and as you say, quite often the negative feedback quite often is in our own head. You know, it's
a reflection of them and not the other person. Yeah.
You know, it's amazing how we, as you say, it's feedback wasn't as bad as you thought, because like, well, maybe it wasn't there in the first place. We just had hyped it up in our heads, you know. And the second thing really is self-esteem. You know, I don't know how you would compare that.
And compare it to what?
Well, I suppose in terms of your journey, you know, and I'm just picking it up. It's because they were the sort of the initial traits that you had said, you know, the confidence, self-esteem, and your journey in self-esteem.
Yeah, I feel like they go really hand in hand together, because self-esteem is just permission to be whoever you want to be, to love yourself, to not care what others think. And as I said, everything starts from the inside. So whenever you are looking from the outside for validation, for appreciation, things like that, I feel like that's where you run into problems. But it's such, and I feel like I used to do this myself. I used to put so much energy into being a certain way, being certain people for different, like my friendship group, my parents, my family, you know, like conforming to that sort of thing. But whenever you start building your self-esteem, you start giving yourself permission to be just who you are authentically. I mean, it's a practice. I haven't got it, you know, pit pat or anything like that. It's a work in progress. But yeah, I've really enjoyed learning about it, particularly that psycho-cybernetic book. And I'm very into listening to podcasts. And one of them I listened to was Why Confidence is an Emergency. And it was really, really interesting. And I feel like it's something, as I said, we're not taught in school. We're actually taught to conform because it's easier. The rules just flow better. So problems start arising when people are thinking critically about what they want, about who they are, about expressing that. And yeah, I feel like if society started teaching and raising children up with being confident, having really good self-esteem, there would be far less problems today in the world, I believe. There would be people who don't feel good enough, who are in relationships. There would be people who don't feel horrible every single day. Like that breaks my heart. That's why I want to share, because I know what it's like to have like low self-worth, and I know what it's like to be working on it and to feel good within myself and not to look outwards. And just to know it's possible. Like, it's not this big. I made a Instagram TV on it a couple of days ago about self-worth, and it's not something you have to learn about. It's something you just have to recognize in yourself, and nobody else can do the work for you. It's just removing everything from the outside and going inwards. And for that, I really recommend meditation, actually, because I feel like we're very busy a lot of the time. There's a lot of stress. We're all trying to be busy and be productive all the time. So meditating just kind of lets you go inwards and feel your self-worth, feel stillness, mindfulness, whatever you want to call it. And it's actually really helpful for self-esteem.
How long have you practiced meditation?
Probably about seriously about almost a year, maybe about 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I've absolutely loved meditating. It's opened up because I would have been very cared what others think about me, and I would have always been looking for like at outside opinions. And I feel like I'm very busy as well, as I said, trying to achieve things or set new goals. So I feel like meditation just kind of settles me back down, grounds me, and allows me to be present, which is really powerful.
I'm curious, what's your flavor of meditation? What does that look like for you?
Well, I've tried different types of meditation. So one that I find is quite fun is Yoga Nidra. On Spotify, if you type in Yoga Nidra, it's actually really good. There's a joke that like 20 minutes of Yoga Nidra is like taking a 5-hour sleep. It's really good for you. But I use Headspace. And I've only realized until recently that you get Headspace for free if you're paying for Spotify. So like it's available to everybody if you're already doing that. There's also free meditations. I absolutely love Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's all about energy in the body and how meditating can change your life. And he's very scientific. He's a doctor. And he has proven that through meditation, you can actually lengthen. So he did a study on lots of people, and 60 years later, the results have come in just recently that they had meditated for, I think it was 10 minutes every day for 60 days. And the people who meditated, it actually grew their chromosomes and extended their life. That 60 days actually extended in their DNA. So it actually has amazing effects on you, on letting go of stress, grounding yourself, which I believe stress causes disease in the body. So when you think about stress, you're not using your energy in a productive way. You're suppressing it and holding it on, and that goes through the body and it gets stored. And then through years or whatever, it starts actually causing problems in the body. If you start getting a sore back, like there's different meanings to different stress points. So yeah, I think meditation, just letting that grow, grounding yourself. And it's, yeah, letting a lot of things go.
Well, it's fascinating, and obviously it's great to hear from the yoga point of view. So earlier on, you mentioned about goals and things like that. I mean, talk to us about that for you.
Yeah. So I never really had, I would have called them challenges when I was younger. And then whenever I started listening to Tony Robbins and Bob Proctor, they were saying, set a massive goal, not something that you think you can achieve, but something you actually really, really want. And something that scares you. So a C-type goal. And I was thinking, gosh, I don't even know what my C-type goal would be. And I still don't really. I'm kind of working on it at the moment. But I think it's really important to do things for the future to get ready for what you want to happen. And putting like systems in place which are going to help you move towards your goal. For example, me and my mum have gotten into the routine recently of getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and doing, a lovely routine, and it's goal orientated, just planning what we want to do, making steps towards that. Another great thing is gratitude as well. We do a list of gratitude every morning, and it's basically, like I'd said, you pull towards you what you're focusing on. So the more you're grateful for, the more you have to be grateful for, things come into your life. So yeah, for goals, I think just working on things that excite you and scare you and move you towards where you actually want to be. Because before I had put as my goal, to get into a magic circle law firm it was all law orientated. And then I just had to question it. I'm not really that excited about it. Why am I not excited? Surely that should be a really good goal. But yeah, I wasn't getting the feedback from myself about that. So decided to change. I actually didn't want to do that. And yeah, just give yourself permission to dream as big as you want or as you can. And it's a really fun experience. And imagination as well. You have to use your imagination to dream of something that you don't even know how to get there, but you just know you want it. Yeah.
That's interesting. You use the term, getting feedback from yourself. Talk to us about that.
I feel like you can, if you look at your gut or your intuition. My mentor says the gut, it stands for give up thinking, GUT. So if you're always thinking, gosh, why don't I want that? I want that. If you just listen to how you feel and what your body is saying, if you're not that excited, it goes to show something. You can't force it. And I think a lot of people, myself in the past, would have just, okay, no, I'll just go for it because that's what I think I want, or that's what I think I can achieve, more importantly. So if I don't get excited about something, there's a reason for it. And yeah, it's just looking for something now that's going to excite me, that's in the personal development sort of section.
It's curious, you talk about, I suppose, even finding yourself, but I know even for me, it's that sort of pivotal point in your life when, whether you go university or whatever route you go. I mean, a lot of people I know, I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do, and you're sort of blindly sort of stabbing at something, because you got to fill out the form or you've got to do whatever. And,
yeah,
would you have any advice, or what would you say to people now in terms of when they're not exactly sure? How do you listen to yourself, and how do you sort of do what's right for you as best you can?
Yeah, I think and getting really quiet is really important, because if you're constantly stressed and busy, like, okay, quickly, just pick something, you're not going to have the time to sit and think about what you really want. And once you get quiet, you also just give yourself permission to let go of what other people want for you. Think about what they do want for you, and then think about, is that actually what you want? And life is too short, as I said, to do something you're not in love with. It has to get you out of bed in the morning, 5 a.m. if you want, and actually have like a really compelling future. And yeah, if you don't know what you want to do, I think it was, I was listening to Sarah Blakely on how she started her business, Banks. And she said that she didn't know what she wanted to do, but she realized use her biggest pain to solve that for everybody else, and make a solution from that. So yeah, I think I'm just getting quiet and opening my mind to absolutely anything and seeing where it takes me.
What's your biggest pain?
My biggest pain, I would say, is that young people and young women in particular are suffering poor self-esteem, not loving themselves, hating their bodies, their appearance, who they are, and not loving themselves the way that they should, and everybody should, because I know I've been through that myself, and that I don't want that for anybody.
No, it's amazing, I suppose, and especially to help people to find that. Is there any activities or anything you would recommend, I suppose, having done mindset things, and that you would introduce at an earlier age then?
Yeah, I feel like I've mentioned gratitude has been really, really important. Because when you think about it, if you're not grateful for what you have, then you can't be grateful for what you want in the future, I think looking at attitude is so important. And I'm very into the programming of the mind. So, for example, you have to know what's happening in your mind. You have to become conscious of it before you change it. So one of the habits I would recommend is journaling. And I didn't like journaling at the start. I didn't know what to write. I just felt stupid sitting with a pen and paper. But then if you just allow your hand to write, you'll see what is actually happening inside your mind without you filtering it out. So yes, becoming conscious of that. Also, mentors are super important. People who you know that that's where you want to go, or they're in the field or something you're interested in. Just start learning more about that every single day. And if that's not your thing, okay, then move on. Maybe it'll lead somewhere else. I think just like being open-minded about the future and not rushing into things. I feel like we're a really busy society. We're just getting even busier. But yeah, just taking time and meditation, taking time to just relax, like to go inwards, to start learning who you are as a person, what your values are, who you want to become, who you want to attract into your life. And it's okay to move away from people who are negative and moving towards it. I feel like that opens up space for more positive and more good in your life, you know.
It's curious. I mean, have you had to isolate yourself to go on this journey, or have you been, you know, because I know some people are saying, you know, you are the sort of the people around you.
Yeah.
So it actually takes an extra effort to step out of that circle to then make a change, to then potentially make new friends or change or do whatever. Has that had to happen for you, or has it been different?
Yeah, I feel like whenever I started first speaking out and voicing everything I was learning, people, whenever you start to change and work on yourself, people have to get used to who you're becoming. And now it's not their fault because you're the one who's changing, but they do have to get used to that, or else you're not compatible anymore. And you get to decide who you want in your life. You get to make really empowering decisions. It's a lovely process. My friends have been really supportive, actually. And I like the saying, your vibe attracts your tribe. So if you're not actually speaking out and voicing your actual opinions, what you really think, what you really stand for and believe in, then nobody actually knows what your true vibe is. It's just like a pretense, really. So the more I've been speaking out, as I said, I'm in a mentoring group, and there's, you know, a couple hundred people in there, and they're all such beautiful people. And otherwise, I've been making friends with people on Instagram who are really lovely and into the, like, it's kind of scary, the exact same thing as me, and going through certain things at the same points in our lives. So yeah, as I said, you make space for more things that you want.
What is your vibe then? Tell us.
My vibe, my vibe is kindness, kindness to myself and to other people. It's standing up for what you believe in, even when it's not easy. Um, it's about embracing imperfection. Nobody is perfect, and it's all just an illusion. It's just about embracing who you are and being non-judgmental of yourself and others. Yeah, and just, I think whenever I start to express myself and share more and more, it also gives permission to people around me to do the same and to say, it's okay, nobody's perfect. Nobody should be perfect. We should all just see who we are, make mistakes, get back up, try again, and just express who we are.
And are you comfortable doing that now? I mean, is it something that, you know, do you get a buzz off it, or is it still something you have to work on, or, you know, how's that sort of growth been for you?
Yeah, it's funny because I mentioned how difficult it was at the start. I was so nervous. Um, and now I actually love posting stories. And then I started branching out into doing Instagram TVs, which I was terrified at the start. And then I got used to it. So every step you take, you keep doing it long enough, and it gets more fun, less scary, you get more used to it. Um, and so I'm getting too comfortable now, so I have to do another thing. I've been asked by a couple of people, or suggested, to make not an Instagram, a YouTube account, and to do videos from there. So I might do that this summer, make a little project of doing that, and just keep pushing myself to do something else that scares me. And as I said, if you keep doing it long enough, the first one is terrifying, yes, but then you get used to it and you actually like it. You get more comfortable in front of the camera. You know, I don't particularly love my voice. So getting used to that was definitely, it was a struggle at the start, but yeah, it is good now.
It is funny, especially in, when you're interviewing and stuff like that, the number of people that don't like their own voice.
Yeah.
And I know someone that said, I'm just going around apologizing to everyone I ever spoke to, but it's funny, and it's the same the way the eye can't see itself, the same way the ears can't hear it, hear its own voice. It's a bizarre thing, really.
Yeah.
Just, what's your, leisure and pleasure? Where would we find you, and what would you be doing for downtime as such?
Well, at the moment in my house because of coronavirus, but usually and it's not just a casual leisure activity, but I really enjoy traveling and going to different cultures that I've never been in before. And I suppose that is pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. You don't know anybody. It's something completely different, which is great. I also have got into reading the past couple of months. And I suppose, as I said, I have only submitted my dissertation last week. So I now finally have leisure time again, time to do things that I want to do. Meeting up with my friends, spending time with my family, and just working on personal developments and things I enjoy.
And out of curiosity, when you say you're reading and stuff, how do you learn? What's your technique, or what's your method?
Kind of everything. So I'm always on webinars, always attending, Facebook groups and lives. And now I've put a challenge to myself to read a book a week, which mightn't seem like a lot, but I need to make sure I'm sitting down to read. And, it's very easy to buy all the books, but then you say, oh, I'll read that tomorrow, just watch Netflix or whatever. So yeah, reading books and also listening to podcasts. I love podcasts because you can just put your earphones in, learn about any subject under the sun, and be doing other stuff too.
That's interesting. That the sort of, whether it be learning by listening or learning by writing or reading.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, and how would you say you have a bias for it?
I would say listening. Yeah, I'm always listening to podcasts.
Yeah, it makes sense because, like I say, early on you talked, you're quite a verbal, quite, in your discussion, so it would sort of make sense too. In terms of seeing other people and suppose listening and do you find yourself quite intuitive or quite sensitive to other people's energy and things like that?
Yeah, I definitely do, especially since starting a lot of things. And as I said, I loved psychology, growing up and in school. And the funny thing is I can sort of have a sense of people, or if I can feel, obviously, if there's like a negative energy in the room, it is always very obvious, and just like the little mannerisms and stuff. But I always know that whatever energy somebody is bringing to me, it's about them and not me, because we see the world through our perspective, our eyes. And then we start putting our perspective and our belief systems and thinking we're all right. We are all right through our own eyes, which is the funny thing. So I think it's just being tolerant and knowing. Of course, I'm not saying I don't take responsibility. Of course I do whenever I need to. But I think a lot of people act in that way.
Very interesting. And tell me, in terms of hard times in your life and how you get through them, we all have hard times. Have you sort of developed certain mechanisms for evolving and sort of having a word with yourself or getting yourself through that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it sounds strange, but meditation is so good for anything you're going through, because it kind of just puts things back into perspective. Also, my mum is, my best friend. She's such an amazing person. So she's always there to give me just her take on things and words of wisdom and advice. So it's really nice. And I have lovely friends. Just to have a support system is really important. because I feel like whenever we're in certain situations, it's hard to see the bigger picture or different, as you said, tools for like seeing how to get out of it or to resolve things.
It's interesting you talk about that. I mean, is there certain people in your life that stand out, whether it be role models or heroes, or who would be the key people that stand out for you and have had a significant impact?
Yeah, my mum for sure, as I mentioned, my best friend Catherine, and recently in the past year, my mentor Erica. She's had an enormous influence. I've always got her podcast on. We're always on calls, webinars, and everything. And I've heard a saying that you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time around. And it makes me proud whenever I see the people I'm around to say that I've got their qualities, because I feel like your energy attracts more of that energy.
Absolutely. And out of interest, I mean, are your brother and sister, are they into mindset as well, or is it a family thing, or is it something you've just taken a lead on?
No, just me and my mum. Maybe they'll come round to it someday. Maybe.
It's quite interesting because I mean, in some ways, it can almost sound like a cult. That when people get into mindset and they can get into all that it's. I mean, how would you sort of, how would you answer that, or what's your approach on anyone that thinks that way?
Yeah. I can totally see where people are coming from when they think that. It's not that I didn't believe in it before, but until you try it, you don't really know what it can do for you. And I think a lot of people, whenever they're making changes and thinking about going into mindset, they think about what they have to lose, but you can never see what you have to gain by going through that. And I mean, everything is just a perspective. So I feel like until you try it and give it a fair go, working on yourself, there's really no negatives, like you're happier, you're putting yourself first in what you want in your life, you're building up your confidence, and yeah, starting to be in the like decision making seat of your life, which is really empowering.
I was curious. I mean, would you say that you like yourself or you love yourself?
Yeah, for sure. If you asked me that a couple of months ago or like a year ago, I would have said no. And I feel like it's really sad that a lot of people don't, and they would say no to that answer. But if you don't, you can't expect anybody else to like you if you don't like yourself first. I feel like a lot of us have been very conditioned, especially in Northern Ireland. It's really sad because um, people would automatically say, stop talking about yourself or talk about them, talk about other people, and never put their needs first and never say that they love themselves. So yeah, I think that is really heartbreaking, but I definitely love myself, and it's not egotistical or self-absorbed. It's something that every single person should be, because I know whenever I put myself first, and if we talk about the cup, half full or half empty, if you have an overflowing cup and you feel really whole and full in yourself, then you can start to help other people and serve other people. But you can't do that with a half cup at all.
No, very true. It's wise words, and not only that, helping others when you've half a cup yourself, it actually drains away from you. And speaking very openly, I've had that before, where you help other people and actually you're maybe not in the position to do that. That you're not in your own strong enough in your own values or beliefs, whatever. So, no, very interesting. You talked about ego there. How's your ego?
Ego, I have just finished a book on ego, and it made me rethink everything. um, it's called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And I didn't realize how big a role ego has in life for everybody. And it's funny because I learned that we think of ego as this big, oh, I think I'm better than everybody else, I feel like I'm great. But ego is also inferiority and thinking, I'm nobody, who am I? I'm small. So ego is, and I feel like I should mention, you're not your thoughts and you're not your mind. So everybody has an ego, and it's whenever we relate to other things to enhance who we are. So we go, I have this kind of a car, I have this house, and it makes you feel bigger on the outside. So for me, I've really had to rethink where I'm identifying myself with, like what roles I identify myself with, as a daughter, as a student, as now somebody on Instagram. And those labels are really detrimental, and the stories we tell about ourselves. So yeah, meditation and is really good for ego. I mean, to not get rid of it, but to notice it, to be aware of it. And there can't be ego where there is awareness. Yeah.
It's obviously with the likes of Instagram and all social media, there's a very fine line. It seems, and seems to be more and more occasions now where people are either quitting social media or, there's changes. So social media and ego and self-belief and all, it feels like there's going to be a bit of a crash of values. I don't know. You're of a slightly different generation to myself, so I'm just curious what your take on it is.
I can understand that, because in the past I would have just put away my phone for a week and said, I have to get rid of this. I feel horrible spending so much time on my phone. Because all I was seeing was selfies and everybody using Facetune, and it's really detrimental to your self-image, to your belief in yourself, seeing everybody looking perfect. And perfectionism is really harmful too. But I actually now have a really positive social media. I really enjoy my Instagram. It's full. I started unfollowing, and give yourself permission to unfollow whoever you need to make that, because that's your space. That's putting yourself first and saying, this is what I want for my Instagram. So I only have really positive people who bring really good messages, and support the belief system that I want to create for myself. So yeah, I love it now, but I can see in the past how it was a problem.
Definitely. It's curious. Potential. What is your potential?
My potential? My potential is whatever I decide that it can be. So Bob Proctor, and a lot of them teach that you can do, be, and have anything you want. And I really believe that it's whatever you put your mind to and think that you want to do, and you say that I can do it, and you put belief in there, then it's possible. So at the minute, I'm just deciding what I want for the future, and through hard work, not hard work, but smart work, working smarter but not harder, and putting the systems in place, like getting up early, putting the motivation into it, the belief, like giving 100%, and knowing that you're not going to stop until it's realized. Yeah, is very important.
Out of curiosity then, I mean, what advice would you have for your younger self? I mean, would you change anything, or what would you sort of say to yourself?
It's a good question. I wouldn't change anything, because, as I said, everything happens for a reason, and it's who I am today because I've known what it's like in the past, and the struggles, the hardships, the great moments, and everything, which make me today determined to share my story. But I would give advice that just to keep going, to keep focused, learn about yourself, learn about potential, and really just be open-minded about what the future holds.
Wow. No, it's great. It's great to do that. I mean, do you give yourself permission, or do you seek permission from others? I mean, what's your general take on that?
Permission for the future?
Well, permission for anything, really.
No, I've stopped doing that. I think the only permission you need in life is yourself. If you want anything, you're the one who's going to have to take responsibility for what has to happen to make it succeed, to make yourself succeed, and to achieve what you put your mind to. So just give yourself permission. Know that you're going to fail, because everybody fails. It's like a plane, has to constantly make course corrections all the time to be in the right place. It doesn't just stay in the one the one sweep. It has to keep correcting up, down, right. The more steps you take forwards, the more you feel, get back up to keep going. And yeah, just permission that it's okay to feel as well, but feel upwards.
It's interesting. I mean, failure for you, I mean, what does that look like and feel like?
Failure, actually, I say failure, but failure is really just whenever you give up and you stop trying. So what I meant by failure is learning and growing, about getting back up and not giving up until you get whatever you want.
I was curious because I know the likes of Cybernetics and others, they talk about, and it's and I've 3 young kids, so the 2 youngest there that are sort of learning to walk and talk. So whether you call it failure or whether you call it sort of negative feedback, that's not right. They keep going until they get it right. Whereas humans actually, that's almost like a positive failure, because that tells you when something's wrong or right, and they know to keep going. Whereas whether it be that you're older or whatever, that you actually get some negative feedback, and unfortunately it stops you either in your tracks, or it has an excessive amount of emphasis on you, that when it should actually just be a course correction, as you say.
For sure. And as I said, a lot of people use that they've failed at one thing or they haven't actually succeeded the first time, to say, okay, that's fine, I can't do it, I'll give up. But really it's just, you can't expect yourself to be perfect on the first go at something. And I feel like I've definitely done that in the past. But just, giving yourself permission to feel or have positive feedback, as you said, and to keep going.
That's curious. Talk to us about your traveling.
Traveling. I'm not sure when I started getting very into traveling. There's something so exciting about it. The first time I did something kind of by myself was whenever I went to London whenever I was 16. And that doesn't sound like a big thing, but coming from, a very, very small town in Northern Ireland, you're in the big city with lots of people, lots of business people especially. And just really loving it. So last year, well, the first big thing, I got a scholarship to go to Malaysia to study law over there for a couple of weeks in the summer. And then afterwards, I started traveling around Singapore, really, really enjoyed it. And I've been so fortunate. My university is amazing. I got a scholarship last year to go to China to study law. So it's just unfortunate I'm not going to do law, but I've absolutely loved the traveling and the cultures and meeting new people. And just seeing the world, that it's far bigger than I feel like there's a great thing about traveling, how insignificant you feel. You just see how big the world is and how of course you're significant and worthy, but it just kind of puts into perspective how large it is.
It's probably great to keep the ego in check, I would imagine. You think you're big till you jump on a plane. What part of the traveling do you enjoy and what part don't you enjoy as such?
The part that I don't enjoy is jet lag. It's pretty tough one to get over, especially if you're going really far. The part I enjoy is meeting new people and trying, just even seeing, as I said, how big the world is. There's a new culture, there's something completely new out there that you don't know about, and it's exciting to learn something different than what you're used to.
Oh, fabulous. Some of this, I mean, in terms of, when you are trying to, learn about yourself, do you seek feedback from others? Or are you self-sufficient in terms of, through the meditation, through the journaling, do you sort of look for outside input?
I'm very careful about who I let not give me feedback. Everybody gives you feedback, but who I take feedback on from. So probably very few people, maybe 2 people I would take feedback from. And perspective is my mentor, Erica, and my mum, of course, and my best friend. So there's 3 people and I trust their opinions so highly. And I know it would always come from a great place. And even, I think other people, even if they're coming from a good place, if they're not in the same mindset of working on themselves, they start projecting their own beliefs onto you. So if people started, a few people have told me that I can't do things, but I know that's a reflection that they don't feel like they can do it, and it's not possible for them. So how could somebody else like me do it, you know? But other than that, I just rely on my own intuition and see. I think it's very easy to not take action. That's something I've started working on, is like, it's great learning about mindset, but you have to put it forward and take action steps. So then that gives me the feedback on if it's going right, if it's not.
So tell me, what does the future hold for you?
The future is seeing how I can serve more people with what I'm learning. And it's not what I am learning, it's other mentors, but how I can share that message and show how much that people are worthy, they're valuable, they can do anything that they want. I also have another year of university next year to finish off in Brighton, and then we'll just see where it goes from there. I am keeping an open mind and seeing where it goes.
And in terms of helping other people, I mean, what's your avatar? Who do you think you'd be best placed to help?
From experience, probably people my age group, women struggling with these issues, self-esteem, confidence, just even like their mindset and how they speak to themselves really matters, what they think of themselves. And maybe people younger as well, just women who, and even I've had, not older, but women who are older than me reach out to me, like middle-aged, and they've said, how do I do this? How do I work on this aspect of myself? So I'm not limiting it to just a certain age group. I feel like everybody goes through these issues. But as a woman, I can speak to other women about it.
Wow, I love that. So tell me, what's your fire in the belly then? What gets you going?
It is helping other people discover more about themselves, to get rid of the self-limiting, depreciating self-talk that they have, to allow themselves permission to express who they are and to go for what they actually want in life and not what they believe that they can have.
Wow, love that. So powerful. So it's great, and fair play to you. Would you like to continue traveling? Is that something on the cards?
Yeah, for sure.
It's let alone Northern Ireland is good, but it's good to see the rest of the world too.
Definitely.
So some weird times ahead. So tell me, how can people reach out to you? How can people sort of follow you? What's your handles as such?
Sure. I'm mostly on Instagram, which would be great. I am at Grainne McNulty. It's Grainne, and then McNulty, and it has 2 Y's. Yes, and I will love to be setting up a YouTube page pretty soon. But if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see I'll be posting about it.
Fantastic. I love the sharing. So, and it's great. Obviously, if you're reading a book a day as well, that's or a book
a week.
Book a week. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
do you speed read out of interest? I mean, how do you and do you take notes?
I don't speed read. I feel like I'm a little bit slow, but it's because I haven't been, reading that much recently. Just law stuff. But yeah, I take notes and I start highlighting certain points. Because it really reinforces certain points, and then I can go back and check, get the good parts of the book.
I was curious because some people sort of treat their book and they don't mark it or touch it, and other people it's, I know for me it's same. I now mark books with highlight different colors, and also my babies like to scribble.
That's what the books are meant to be for, They're not meant to look pristine.
No, absolutely. It's, well, sort of avoiding, as you mentioned earlier, not having a wonderful book collection and actually not reading it. So making the difference. Grainne, it's been absolutely fantastic to have you on. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and your insights. It's been most insightful. And
thank you so much for asking me.
No, thank you. And we look forward to hearing from your journey as well. And I'm sure we'll get more and more people following you. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Pete.